Hello, friends, and welcome to a new sofa session here in Stockholm at SeaWe, the World Water Week. Okay, we're here to discuss now a very interesting topic. We have three lovely people with us. We're going to discuss hand washing behavior change in emergencies. So, sitting with me at the sofa, we have Alma Michens from Oxfam. Welcome. We have Arti Daryanani from Unilever. Thank you for joining us. And we have Murray Bird from United Nations Refugee Agency.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining me. Let's go straight into the topic. So Alma, what is the current situation of hand washing in emergency settings, and why is it that hand hygiene is so critical?
So when we are speaking about emergency situation, we usually speak about displaced population. Families that have lost their house because of a flood, or that needed to flee their house because of a conflict.
Yeah.
These people are usually traumatized, hungry, thirsty, so they are more vulnerable to water-related disease as cholera or diarrhea. In an emergency setting, people are usually settled down in an overcrowded space that they are not familiar with. They might not have access to hygiene products, and therefore their hygiene practices might change.
Okay.
Is here where a water, sanitation, and hygiene practice intervention takes place to reduce the public health risk that these people might face, not only by providing infrastructure, but also by trying to understand their practices and behaviors. This is so important as diarrhea is one of the main reasons, one of the main diseases that kills up to 40% of the population in an emergency, being 80% of those children below 2 years old.
Wow, impressive.
So yeah, these numbers can be reduced by up 50% by only with hand washing with soap.
I see.
Hand washing with soap has been shown as a very effective and affordable way of reducing the transmissions of disease in emergencies.
Okay. Arti, in your experience and your work, what are the key triggers that you found that enable hand washing behavior change?
So we're in a very sweet spot on Lifebuoy. We've basically taken the best there is in marketing and consumer understanding, which sits within Unilever, and merged that with our expertise as public health professionals to really research triggers. And what we've identified are 4 key levers. The first, awareness. The second, commitment. The third, reinforcement. And the fourth is reward. All of these 4 are there to drive behaviors. Now, what's nice about these levers is the fact that they can be applied to anything. Say, for example, that you wanted to go to the gym.
Let's try that for once.
So what we need to do is ensure that you're aware of why it's important for you to go to the gym. The second is we'd want to make sure that you're committed to doing this. The third is that the action of going to the gym is reinforced, and this can be either daily or even weekly. And the fourth is that you're incentivized such that it becomes rewarding for you to go to the gym, and this can be through a cheat meal after 4 days of gymming or even binge watching on Netflix.
Okay.
What I feel really excited about these levers is the fact that one can get really creative about how do you bring them to life.
Yeah.
So for example, for people sitting here, what encourages commitment amongst them could be very different from what encourages commitment in people sitting, for example, in Nairobi.
Yeah. Alma, do you want to add on this?
Yes, sure. And as Arti was mentioning, when we speak about behavioral change, we need to speak about the motivators, what actually makes you pursue that behavior. And motivators could have different natures, could be an economical motivator, financial, social, cultural, or emotional, no? And emotional motivators have been broadly studied. However, there are very limited studies that linked emotional motivators to emergency situations and hand washing with soap. That's where Oxfam, together with Unilever, decided to do a research with affected mothers from emergencies in Nepal, Pakistan, and Philippines in 2014 and 2015 to try to understand what actually motivates these mothers to do hand washing with soap. The result of this research showed that the mothers from the 3 different countries had 2 same motivators that were nurturing, taking care of their children, and affiliation. They want to be part of a community, want to be accepted in the community. So based on the research, on the results of this research, we produced a full program that is called Mom's Magic Hands, that promotes hand washing with soap in emergencies, based in these two motivators for behavioral change: nurturing and affiliation.
Wonderful. I think it's very clear. Now let's move on to the program itself. So the program is called Mum's Magic Hands. And Arti, why don't you tell us more about it?
Sure. So the program is based on a very beautiful concept. It's the fact that mums' hands have magic in them. Mothers' hands take care of their kids. They put them to bed. They wake them up in the morning. They feed them. They change them. They stroke them when kids are unwell. In fact, mothers' hands have the ability to take kids through life. What's also true, and very few people know this, is that mothers' hands could also be lethal. They could transfer germs to their kids, making them ill. So what we try to do through Mum's Magic Hands is explain mothers in emergency contexts that the one way for them to retain the magic in their hands is through a simple behavior, which is hand washing with soap. And we do this through this flip chart. And we have this visual which we show across all of our activities, as well as our demonstrations, that teaches mothers that there are 2 occasions to wash hands with soap: before eating and after using the toilet. The program itself spans across 4 to 6 sessions, where every session is 45 minutes long.
Wonderful. Thank you. I think that's quite clear and explanatory. Murray,
Yes.
could you tell us more about the key steps and the main actors of this initiative?
Absolutely. So I work with the United Nations Refugee Agency with some of the most vulnerable people in the world. And we applied this program within Lebanon, working with Syrian refugees who were fleeing the war in Syria and had come to Lebanon. And the way we ran it was organizing to engage a partner that would run the program across the refugee camps and settlements. And the partner then identified mobilizers from within the community. These were women from within their own community who were able to teach other women in their villages and small groups. They used the material like what Arti showed, with pictures, flip charts, and they each received a certificate at the end of the program.
Oh.
And through the 4 to 6 sessions, the mothers were really engaged and got enthusiastic. And champions from within the mothers' groups were identified that could continue the process forward to see the hygiene behavior change embedded in their community where they were.
I see. Then Alma, maybe Murray, what makes this program unique and different from others?
So traditionally in hygiene promotion, we have advocate for health motivators, what is beneficial from the health point of view. However, there are different studies that show that despite knowledge is very important, are other things as access to the hand washing station, the distance, and the underlying factors are nurturing or affiliation, what actually drives a behavioral change. In this case, this program is based in the universal insight that a mother wants to take care of their kid. They will do everything that is in their hands to actually make their kid healthy and successful in life.
Yeah, wonderful. Murray?
Yeah, absolutely. Within the refugee context, there's many things that are outside of your control. But the women in this program felt this was something that they could have control over, to see healthy and clean environment for their families. And many of the women actually identified with the characters in the story. And the story is about a young girl growing up and seeing hygiene improvement in her home, and then eventually she becomes a doctor. And many of the women could identify with this transition of being young and growing old. And this motivated them to see the change within their own homes, within their own families. And this created a situation where there was some level of social competition. Women wanted to be known to have the cleanest home, the cleanest family, and the children with the cleanest hands. It was fantastic.
I see. So we're reaching towards the last bit of this interview. Arti, I'm interested in knowing, I understand the Global Hand Washing Partnership is a public-private initiative and partnership. So both Unilever and Oxfam have been involved in this partnership. What have been the benefits of this of you working together in this program and in general for the wash industry?
So for me, it's been hugely beneficial. This public-private partnership came together to solve a very real problem, which is high incidence of diarrhea in post-emergency settings. What it did beautifully was combine Oxfam's vast experience in public health and humanitarian response with Lifebuoy and Unilever's marketing and behavior change expertise. So for me, this was a perfect collaboration. Now, was it always perfect? The answer, honestly, is no, it wasn't. There's a lot of things that we learned along the way, and if I had to share what my key learnings are, I'd say 3 things. The first is always keep the end user in mind. For me, it was that mother I met when traveling in Nepal after the 2015 earthquake. She lost her 3-year-old daughter to the earthquake when the roof of her house came crumbling down. That, for me, was the end user. And when the going got tough and things were a bit chaotic, it was always important to remember that our single-minded objective as partners were to serve that particular mother and nothing else. The second is that everything that we like or everything that is needing to be done needs time. And it was important for us to keep that in mind. We faced quite a few delays to launch this campaign, but it was important to remember that good things take time and they require a lot of patience. The third and last is to play to our strengths. For me, it was clear that Oxfam was the expert in emergencies, and therefore only they understood the realities on ground and no one else. Yeah. Similarly, Lifebuoy and Unilever have been running marketing campaigns for the longest time. We understand consumer behavior, we understand marketing, we understand behavior change, and therefore when it came to using insights to develop programs, to develop concepts, that's where we led. So it was a perfect collaboration in that way.
Wonderful. In terms of impact, Alma, what was the impact of this initiative so far?
So this program has been protested in several emergencies where we have adapted the flip chart and the storytelling to be cultural appropriate. Just to mention some countries, was protested in Ethiopia, Yemen, Jordan or South Sudan. And also we rolled it out in India in one of our flood response, reaching out to 19,000 mothers that have improved their health behavior. In terms of dissemination, Oxfam launched a webinar in 2018, reaching out to 120 professionals between policymakers, NGOs, members, etc. And also we have produced a toolkit, a free source toolkit that you can access in our policy and practice website in Oxfam. That is policy-practice.oxfam.org.uk. That is accessible for everyone.
Okay, wonderful. Arti, do you want to add on that?
Yes, besides working with Oxfam, we've also worked with other organizations such as Friendship NGO, reaching 20,000 families in Cox's Bazar. We've also partnered with UNHCR to help 20,000 Syrian refugee families.
Wonderful. So now reaching really to the end of this session, what would you like our audience here and our online audience to take away and to do with the information that you've just shared?
So we would like to share 3 steps to everyone who is listening to us right now. We would like this program to go beyond Oxfam Unilever or Oxfam. It's a program that has shown their effects and it works. So to doing that, everyone can access this free toolkit in the policy and practice website of Oxfam and use it.
To donors, we require more attention and investment on hand washing with soap in emergencies, particularly behavior change programs such as Mum's Magic Hands.
And to governments, to realize that hygiene is the first and most fundamental step towards achieving public health outcomes and reducing morbidity and mortality, and it is a priority in order to achieve your SDG targets and goals.
Wonderful. So practitioners, donors and governments visit this website, right? And learn more about the initiative. Thank you very much, Alma. Thank you, Arti, and thank you, Mari.
Pleasure.
I'll see you around, I guess. And to our audience online, I will see you again in a next SOFA session. Have a good day.
Thank you.